Welcome back to the Bandwich Tapes. I'm Brad Williams. Today's guest is singer-songwriter Grace Humphries, and this conversation hit me in a real way. Grace is just getting started at Belmont University, but she already has a level of clarity and life experience that comes through in her songwriting and the way she talks about purpose. We get into her origin story, how music found her early, and how she's developed as a writer and performer. We also talk about the loss of her brother Liam, how that shaped her faith journey, and why she's committed to writing songs with honesty, whether they come from personal experience, a book, or something she feels needs to be said. Grace also shares what it was like recording at Abbey Road at 16, and now recording in Nashville at Soundstage with top-tier players, while still trying to figure out what the industry path looks like in real time. Here's my conversation with Grace Humphries.
I bump into you, and you say you're sorry. I know it's just simple courtesy, but I'd like to think it's an apology for the heart you broke, for the heart you stole. How could you ignore me when I loved you so? I'm just another girl walking through these doors, and I know I don't exist to you anymore. Why'd you give up that easy, baby? Tell me. Why'd you tell me you love me, then you leave me?
Grace, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
Good. How are you? Thanks for
I'm
having
doing
me.
well. Yeah, absolutely. As we were just catching up before we started recording, you are starting a semester at the great Belmont University, where I went many, many years ago. How's that going so far?
It's been amazing, and like coming in like as a spring admission, it's a little weird, but I mean, I really loved the gap semester, and I think I needed that, and I was working on projects, so it just worked out perfectly. And these last 2 weeks, I just remember sitting in like a classical voice seminar because I'm majoring in I'm thinking about changing my major, but right now I'm majoring in commercial voice and commercial music. And I was sitting in a classical voice seminar, and someone was singing, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm finally immersed in music. Like, instead of my homework being algebra homework, I'm doing music theory homework, and it's just like, yes, like, thank God. Like,
Yeah. It is so reassuring and validating and just inspiring to be there on that campus around people that have the same aspirations and goals that you
absolutely.
do. And I think that you are going to just flourish there. And I can't wait to hear how that experience is for you, because of course you'll learn lots and lots about music, but you will also meet people that when you're as old as me, you'll still be talking with them. I just
Yeah.
recently had a guy on this podcast that we played music together at Belmont many years ago,
Wow.
and we still stay in touch. And yeah, it's amazing the connections that you will make that will become lifelong friends and maybe even colleagues.
Yeah. Yes, I thought about that. Like, it's just like you have the same goals in life, and it's just so refreshing to be around. Because, like, when you're in school or, like, high school, it can be isolating being the only musician with those passions. It's hard to be understood. And you feel, like, very alone and, like, oh my gosh, like, are there any people like me out there? And, like, when you come here, it's like, yes, there are people exactly like you. So,
Yeah. Was Belmont always your North Star of where you wanted to go and study music, or did you look in other places?
it was always my North Star, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I found out about it freshman year of high school, and from my choir teacher, actually. Bless his heart. Like, he taught me a lot about music, and um, he mentioned Belmont, and he talked to my mom about it, and my mom, like, and I did research on it, and we always knew I wanted to, this was the best place to go. And like, especially as I started doing country music and really getting in the industry and releasing songs. Nashville, I traveled to Nashville all the time, and it just made sense, like being in Nashville, as opposed to Berkeley or somewhere in LA. Like, it just made sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. I talk with a lot of people that do have to make that decision about whether and it typically is like Northeast, like you said, Berkeley, maybe some people look at like NYU, some places around there, more like a conservatory. But I think for, the direction that you're going as a songwriter and as a singer, I think Nashville is the place where it's going to best support this, what you're wanting to do as a career. So I think,
Yeah.
I think that was a really, really wise choice. So, well, I would love to hear your origin story about how music came into your life and kind of how you, whether you found music or whether music found you. I think it's usually one of the two, and I'd love to hear about, how that started and what you did to develop it.
Yeah. So I've been singing ever since I can remember. Like, I just, both of my grandmothers actually said that I was singing as a toddler in my crib. And so, yeah, I've just always been making noise, like, and making my own jingles too. And like, that was kind of like my version of songwriting when I was that age. And I've always been singing and songwriting. And yeah, and I started really songwriting when I was 13, like verse, chorus, pre-chorus, and all that stuff. And I started playing piano when I was 11. Guitar was 13. And I did my first demos for, like, because I started producing and releasing when I was 16. So I walked into a demo studio at 15. And that's kind of where it started. That's just So
guitar, piano, vocal, all. I know you said you had a choir teacher. Was the instrumental stuff, were you self-taught, or did you take any formal lessons on those, or how did that work?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. Like, I started piano, like, teaching myself, like, with Simply Piano and just, like, in my own time. I labeled the keys and everything. And then I started taking formal piano lessons. And then I stopped, and I kind of just did more music theory stuff and, like, playing by ear. And then with guitar, I started with lessons, and then now I'm kind of teaching myself. So it's kind of a mix of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's something to be said about formal training on an instrument, but there's also something to be said about having the freedom to teach yourself kind of in the direction that you want to go with it. And as long as you have the discipline to focus your attention to it and be patient with it, I think having the freedom with it can also take you as far or further than lessons can.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So who were some of your musical heroes, some of the influences that you go to for inspiration as a songwriter or maybe as a performer?
Oh man, so many. So like I'm all over the place. Like I went through a Queen phase in middle school, ABBA, and then like a rock. Well, that's like classic rock, but then I don't know. It was kind of all over the place. And then folk, Lizzie McAlpine, Joni Mitchell, country, so many, like George Strait, Johnny Cash. I have Johnny Cash and George Strait on my wall over there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Zach Top and Lainey Wilson and Dan and Shay. And then like pop influences also, like, because I don't know, I feel like my sound changes every time I write a new batch of songs. Like, it's mostly country, because like I grew up in Texas, so like country music was playing everywhere. Like George Strait is always on somewhere.
Yeah.
And actually George Strait was my first introduction to country music. Like, and it was actually the song Texas. I don't know if a lot of people know that song, like, for a word would have never crossed my mind. That one.
Yeah.
And I was 8 years old when I heard that song. And I had just moved to Texas from California. And it was after my brother passed. And it really, there was something about that song that really like healed something in me. I don't know, because I fell in love with Texas right away. And I have a song about it that I just recorded called Texas Has Her Heart. And it talks about how Texas kind of got me through the loss of my brother. And there's like something magical or like healing about Texas that really got me through that time.
It probably, it probably opened its arms to you and your family at that really difficult time in your life. I want to ask you about that time of your life as much as you want to talk about it, as I know it's time. They say time heals things, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. It's sometimes things can quickly make memories come back. Tell me about. Well, first of all, tell me about your brother, and just tell me. I'm sure that you feel him in your music and your songwriting, and just his presence, and just what his memory means to you as an artist, as a creator of music.
Yeah. So, I mean, after he passed, like when you're 8, you don't really think about death unless you've, seen it. And a lot of 8-year-olds just don't think about those big questions. And for me, that has made me who I am today. Like when you go through something like that and like watching someone you love suffer, like you never get those images out of your brain. And it can make you think about like questions like God and that's kind of ties into my faith journey too, like my brother. And music was the thing that got me through that. Texas got me through that. Like my family, we're so close-knit, tightly knit because of that. And I'm so close with my mom and my dad that helped. And eventually, I gave my life to Christ, and I really struggled with that for a long time, like angry at God because like I never knew, well, I always knew there was something out there, but like I always went back and forth with it because of my anger and like if there was a God, like why would he do this? And but when I gave my life to Christ, like I think that really healed something in me that couldn't be healed by music. And he really healed me.
Yeah. What was your brother's name?
His name was Liam.
Sweet Liam. Yeah,
sweet Liam.
Sweet Liam. I'm a dad of a 24-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter, and I just think about your parents and think about the strength that it had to require and probably still requires to keep moving forward, after such a loss like that, and what amazing parents they must be to continue to pour into you. Like, obviously they still do. You were blessed with an amazing pair of parents.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're amazing.
Everyone's laughing and drinking their wine, and someone asked me if I'm feeling alright. I say I should go, it's getting late, but thank you for the dinner, Merry Christmas anyway. But I had to leave, 'cause everyone's happy, and I've never felt more lonely. I'm wondering if it's a time of laughter and a time of good cheer. Would this hole in my heart be something I could still feel? 'Cause the songs and the lights only get duller each year. I have no one to turn to, no one to dry these tears. Oh, I haven't felt the magic
lost my brother, I was 8, so I hadn't been really writing like
Yeah.
songs yet. But I remember actually taking the melody of the first Noel. Like, I would do this sometimes. I would take the melody of songs and I would put my own lyrics to it. And I remember I always wrote like weirdly deep things for my age. Like, I have a plate of, I did this at 8 years old in my grandma's house, that I, like a paper plate, and I would draw on it and then I would put a quote in the middle. Like, one of them is like, life is hard but also beautiful. And like, I would do really weird deep things as an 8-year-old after my brother passed. Like, whether that came in the form of writing things. Like, I've always been a writer and like a thinker. And but when I started writing songs when I was 13, the first song I ever wrote was about my brother. So I obviously was like processing, like songwriting, I was processing it still. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. I just applaud you for having the maturity to, even at that age, to find a way creatively to process what you were going through. It's pretty amazing, you know. By the way, I'm going to talk about something you said earlier. As you were talking about influences earlier, I did want to bring up to you that we could probably talk for the rest of this time about how amazing Lizzie McAlpine is. I just absolutely can't get enough of her music.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So we were there. I don't know if you've ever seen this show. My daughter likes this show called School Spirits. Have you ever heard of this TV show?
No,
Okay.
I haven't.
It's okay. It's an okay show, but they have really good music in it. And that was the first time I heard one of her songs was during this show. And I'm like getting my phone out. I'm like, what is this song? The production on it is like perfect. And I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but her vocals are recorded perfectly on those albums.
I know. Yeah.
Like, they sit so well in the mix. Like, she's the real deal. She's amazing. So it made me happy when you said that she was when you threw that name out there, because I agree with you. She's quite inspiring.
She's definitely like I feel like country and folk, especially now, because like country isn't what it was just like 20 years ago. Country now, like, what even is country? And I feel like country now and folk now, the folk, especially the folk she's created, goes so well together. And like, I think like, if like, she's one of the artists I want to collab with so bad, because I feel like that my sound and her sound would go so cool together. And she just has everything in her sound. Like, she has like that bluesy kind of vibe sometimes, and then she has like that a steel in her song, and I'm like, whoa, like, that's kind of country. And then pop, and then all this stuff, and I'm like, whoa, she's like awesome. Like, she has everything.
Yeah, and I will say the same thing about your music, is that it always seems to come from a place of honesty and sincerity, that it's not just writing or singing a song for the sake of it. If I'm going to take the time to sing it or write it and then sing it, it had better be something worth writing and singing about. And I get the feeling that you certainly belong to that same school of thought. I think that you probably feel that way too.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like, so like a lot of the songs that are out right now, like, aren't based off of like an experience I had. Like, a lot of them are. Like, I Couldn't was an experience I had. What else? But like, Wanted You to Know, for example, that book that was based off of a book. And a lot of times I don't write from experience, because I read something or I watch something, and I think that has a message to it, and that story needs to be told.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah. So I have to ask you, I've been dying to ask you, I read this in your bio, and I'm like, okay, tell me about recording at Abbey Road Studios. Tell me the circumstances around that and how all of that happened.
Yeah, so I was young. I was 16. Well, I mean, that was only like 2-3 years ago. I'm almost 19 in June, but I feel like, so I was working with a producer at the time, and I had the opportunity to go. You know, he had connections there, and so I had this opportunity to go, and I still can't believe I went, especially that young. And I just remember walking in and just feeling like I was on sacred ground or something, you know,
Yeah.
because like the Beatles and Adele, even like all the current and older artists have been there, and like I could just see Elton John playing on that piano in room 3. You know, I
Yeah.
could just see it, I could hear it, and it was crazy. And I feel like I want to go back someday because I feel like I was too young to appreciate it fully, you know?
Yeah. Well, listen, I could probably go there now, and I would probably not feel old enough to soak it in, because talk about a room, we'll talk about a studio, a building that just, if those walls could talk, the history contained in that. I mean, I'm one of the biggest Beatles fans on the planet, and just that alone
Mm,
of what creatively happened in that space is
yeah,
just, it's unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I
And I,
No, I was just gonna say I've been talking with a bass player who uh, he plays for Rod Stewart, and they're in London right now
oh,
recording,
wow.
and I think they're recording at Abbey Road. And I was just like, you guys have a good time,
Yeah.
enjoy that space. Yeah. Did you feel like your inspiration just went up to 11 when you
Oh,
went in there?
yeah.
Like, oh my,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. I grew so much from that experience. And I remember like everyone was at lunch at one point, and I was still in the studio. I was alone in that beautiful room, that Studio 3, where all this history has happened. And I was at the piano, and I was just playing stuff. I was coming up with stuff, and like I just felt so inspired to be
yeah.
sitting at that piano. And my songwriting definitely changed after that.
Oh yeah, I would
And
imagine.
like I said, I feel like I was also maybe a little too young to appreciate it all.
You still have a lot of time, and I have no doubt you'll go back. You'll go back, and you'll just be like, oh yeah. You'll go back when it's, I think when it's, when it's the right time to go. I'm still amazed that you were able to have that opportunity so young, so early
Yeah.
on in your career. It's amazing. Who was the producer on that? Who's the person you were working with there?
He Yellow Dog Studios. I don't know if you've
Okay.
heard in Texas.
I don't know if I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Is that who was
It
producing
wasn't a
you?
Nashville-based producer.
Okay.
But yeah.
What do you look for in someone that you collaborate with, whether that be another musician or a producer? Do you like someone that lets you do your thing? Do you want someone that's going to tell you what they think is going to serve the song the best, or a little bit of all of that? What do you find you collaborate best with?
I think it's a little bit of all of that. Like, I think that a lot of times, like, the producer isn't excited about it. And I think because, I mean, you have to put food on the table, I get it. But, like, it has to be something that makes you excited too. And finding that is extremely difficult. And it's only been with the current producer I'm working with that I feel like that's the case. And it
That's
took
amazing.
me 4 years of climbing the ladder to find
Yeah. Who are you
So-
working with now? Who's your producer now?
Jeff Huskins.
Okay.
He works at BMG in a Dolby Atmos,
Oh, okay.
and he's mixed for a lot of country stars. And it's like the first time I'm actually with a producer that has all of these connections.
Yeah.
And it feels like, oh my gosh, I've been working toward this for so long.
How how would you say that you've grown as an artist since starting to work with him? Have you noticed some things in the way you approach singing, or
Mm.
what have you noticed since changing producers?
I've definitely noticed, like, my creativity, like, it's kind of it's not stuck in one place, and if that makes sense. It's like
Hmm.
it's expanded. It's not like I'm writing one sound anymore. It's like I'm writing all these sounds, but then when I go and track, he kind of makes it fit into country music, but they're all different, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And like
Yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
like, yeah, yeah. And I feel just like I've grown so much, and also making sure that my songs like are authentic, but writing them for radio, and like really learning how to write commercially in the music industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And there's just so much power in working with people that allow you to believe in yourself and trust yourself and not, like you said, just kind of going through the motions. And, unfortunately, we've all worked with some producers like that in our day that it's like, they're kind of like looking at their watch as it's going. And yeah, you want someone that's going to let you feel inspired the whole time,
Yeah.
as a writer and as a performer. Yeah.
Because he loves what he does. Like when he talks about producing, like he just lights up. Like how like songwriters light up when they talk about songwriting. Like he loves what he does.
Yeah.
And he's so passionate about it. And he loves working. Like he never stops working. He doesn't work because he has to. He works because he wants to.
Yeah.
And he puts so much effort into my songs because he wants to.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, I'm so glad that you have been able to connect with him, and that like it feels like it's been a springboard already for your career to find the right person, and here you go. So it's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah. So where do you reside between singing as a live performer versus singing in the studio? Do you love them both equally? Do you prefer singing in front of people, or do you enjoy singing in a studio? Where have you found it is your happiest place these days?
It's hard to say because when I'm on stage, I feel like I don't feel like I'm like when that saying like when you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. And like
Hmm.
obviously it feels like work a lot of the times. Like and it is work. It's hard work. You should, it's a lot of perseverance to do this career. But when it comes down to performing or recording, it just feels like I'm not doing it. Like something else is like driving me. And it just
Yeah,
feels like natural. And it just feels right. It just feels like my purpose. Like I'm stepping into my purpose.
yeah, that's amazing. That's so good. I spent 19 years. So I also, as I was telling you before we started recording, that my son works at a school. My wife also is in education. We're all in technology, but we're all in the education field. I'm a tech director at a school. We live in St. Louis, and but for 19 years I worked at a school outside of Atlanta, Georgia. But part of my role there was that I was the music coordinator for all middle school and high school chapel students. So we did worship music every week, and they led
Mm-hmm.
worship for the students. And it's the thing I miss the most about working at that school was getting to work with those amazing young people like yourself. And I know you have been active in church ministry and church worship music. And I would love to know how that experience in your life has influenced or shaped you differently as an artist in the commercial world.
Yeah, it's something that's a great question. Yeah. Well, I love Jesus with all my heart, and I just like I feel like above music, that's my purpose is to praise him and love him. And but when it comes to my music and the songs I write, they're not explicitly Christian songs. And I actually have thought about being a Christian artist, but I feel like God doesn't. I think Amy Grant said this once. When she switched over to secular music and she got a lot of hate for it, she said that God doesn't live on one shelf. And I don't think that he does either. I don't think he just lives in the worship side of things. I think that, in Crowded Room, which is one of the songs, like for me that's like it's I try to have like a deeper message with like each of my songs that reflects my faith, but it's also like if people don't believe, they can still connect it to their lives. But yeah, I absolutely think that like my faith has affected my songwriting, and it guides that. It's like the undercurrent for all that.
Yeah. Well, and I get the impression that you are not willing to compromise that one bit, and I am so proud of you for that. That
Thank you.
there are a lot of artists that probably would, for success or acclaim or whatever, might kind of compromise their beliefs on things a little bit for that purpose, and it doesn't seem like that's a negotiable item for you. So
Definitely
could,
not.
yeah, that's amazing.
I think of Ann Wilson. Like, she didn't compromise. Like, she's a Christian country artist, but she's also like has these songs that aren't explicitly like about God, and like she's kind of everything. And I kind of really admire, like, that's kind of maybe what I'm not going for, but like kind of on like a smaller level. Like, a lot of times in my songs I mention God. Like, it's about a love story, but I say like, will God bring us back together? Like, I throw like little things in there, like that at the end of the day, like, that's where I operate from, and that is bound to come out when I write songs, and I don't think there's any point in hiding that. And I'm not looking for validation from the world. I'm just doing what I do, and if people happen to like that, then that's great. And if they don't, I know that God has a plan for me.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, you were wise beyond your years, Grace. It's quite amazing to listen to you speak with such conviction about that. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what are you? So you're just starting at Belmont, right? So you're kind of at the beginning of that journey. Are you hoping to continue on that path, work and improve and perfect your craft, and then try to just keep moving up, getting record deal, albums, touring? What are you wanting to do with as an artist?
Yeah.
I don't want to ask you what do you want to be when you grow up, but that's kind of what I'm asking.
No, that's I love it. No, but it's funny because like there are some days when I'm just like, yeah, I want to sell out stadiums and like get my record deal, and like if you look on my social media, that's exactly what I'm working toward. But when you really like put it into perspective, like it's the 1% of the 1% who get to that point, and can actually maintain it. And so I think, well, I don't really know. And like then there are times when I'm just like, fame is crazy. Like, if that happened, like how would that affect my personal life? And so then I think, well, I don't really know. Like, I'm just writing these songs because I love it. I just trust that God's going to do something with that. And I don't know what form that's going to take. Like, I've thought maybe I'll be a songwriter for people and I'll be like in the shadows. Or maybe I'll do like harmonies for people. Or maybe I will go to like an artist level where I'm touring. And I don't really, that's the thing, like I don't know. I just do. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the good part about it is that you don't have to know. You don't have to know yet. Just I think keep doing what you're doing, I mean, you're being true to yourself. You're being true to your music. And I think that's all you need to worry about right now. You're pushing, and it seems like you are surrounding yourself with the right people in the right places. And I think only good is going to come from that, right? That's amazing. So yeah, I'm super happy for you about that.
Thank you.
And yeah, and who knows what the future holds,
Yeah.
So what is on the horizon now? Are you recording now? Are you still releasing music consistently? What's kind of, as we're kind of unbelievably almost finished with the first month of January already, in 2026, what does the rest of this year look like for you with your music?
Well, I have some projects coming up, and I'm really excited to eventually share that. I have been recording songs with the producer, with Jeff, and that has been the experience of a lifetime. Like, I've been able to record at Soundstage here in Nashville. Like, that at 18, like, again, like, that's, like, I'm so grateful, like, that God has, like, given me that opportunity at my age, and I just can't believe I'm walking into Soundstage with all those musicians that play on, like, Lainey Wilson's tracks and Zach Top's tracks. Like, all of these musicians play on these tracks, and they're playing on mine. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just can't believe it's happening. And, like, no matter what comes out of it, like, I've had that experience, and I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life. And that's special, like, to me. And I've recorded 7 songs at Soundstage. And I don't know when they're going to come out, but we're working on them, and I'm really excited about them, and hopefully they'll come out sometime this year. I don't know when, but I think it also depends on, like, if we're going for, like, being signed or not, and, like, what if the label's interested, then it kind of can vary. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what's on the horizon. I'm kind of at, like, a stalemate right now.
Yeah.
But
do you think that you would release the songs, like, a little bit, little by little, or would you release them as like an EP type thing, or?
I think it depends.
Yeah.
Like, if I do get signed, like, what the label might want to do with that.
Yeah.
But if I don't get signed, I really don't know. Like, it's so hard to know, like, the industry changes every day, and I mean, right now I've been releasing just singles. I haven't put out an extended piece of work yet, which I'd like to do. But yeah, social media, I guess posting is another thing that is very useful as an artist.
Sure.
But yeah. That's
great. Yeah, I would imagine that just as a song tells a story, a collections of songs can also tell a story, that's kind of has a broader arc to it than maybe one song. So I'm hopeful that at some point you'll get to release an entire body of work, of an album or even an EP that kind of tells a bigger story than maybe one song will.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I'm glad that you're getting to experience just that amazing thing of sitting in the room with those session players in Nashville and just experience how quickly they work.
Right? I know. And it's just...
They'll get those charts and they like listen down to the demo, and then away they go. They get a tempo, and then just the creativity just starts oozing out. It's amazing. And
they're so kind. They're so nice, and they're so professional. I mean, obviously they're working there, but, like, it's just I'm just so grateful. Like, it's just, yeah.
It's amazing. It's great. Well, Grace, I have absolutely had a blast hanging out with you, and
me too.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what the future holds for you, because I think that you have an enormous amount of ability and talent, but even more than that, you have such incredible work ethic, humility, and vision for being the best that you can be in every way, and I just think you're going to do great things.
Thank you so much, Brad, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, and best of luck to you, and just here's to more success in 2026.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow or subscribe to the Bandwich Tapes wherever you listen, and consider leaving a rating or review. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.